Welcome to A Sharper Life. I'm Nikki Sharp, wellness expert, best-selling author, and your personal transformation coach. On this podcast, we dive into wellness and mindset routines, improving the relationship with yourself and others, spirituality, confidence hacks, and much, much more. A Sharper Life is your one-stop shop to heal, grow, and step into a life that you love. Each week, we have unfiltered conversations, science-backed strategies, expert interviews, and real-life stories that are guaranteed to leave you feeling inspired and ready to take action. If you're new here, welcome to the show. And if you've been with me for a while, thanks for returning. Now, I have a quick ask for you. It will take literally less than 30 seconds. You're probably still holding your phone or it's nearby. Would you mind picking it up and dropping a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on? That's it. You press 5 stars and submit. And if you're feeling extra generous today, drop a line on Apple Podcasts on what you like about this podcast. Reviews really do make the difference, and I truly appreciate your support. So let's get into today's episode, though. I wanted to do one all about how to get your spark back. And I felt like this was an ample time to discuss my own journey, as I have been with you all. But over the last 2 years, I really have gone through these different waves of feeling like I've been going through this tunnel, feeling like everything's been ripped apart from my life, and then feeling that spark again, and then it goes away. But there's something that shifted. And something major shifted. And so I was talking with my team about this, and we decided that what better time to do an episode solely dedicated to tips and tricks on how to get your spark back. And this episode is for you if you feel like you've just lost that zest for life, if you feel a little joyless, if you feel like life feels a little black and white. Right? You've kind of lost the color. And I can speak for myself that I really have gone through all of these, and I've found my joy, I found my zest, I found my sparkle and my shine. And so these are not only the tips and the tools and tricks that I've personally used, and of course I'll infuse personal stories with them, but they are tried, true, and tested on myself and my clients. Now, before I get into the tips, I actually wanted to just share. So I had asked my team to, as we were discussing and developing this episode, I asked my team to give me some feedback on getting my spark back, because when I announced like the theme of this week's episode, my team, they were like, "Oh my God, but like this is amazing because you really have gotten your spark back." And so I thought, what better opportunity than to kind of not outsource, but ask for feedback on what those around me have seen. And this is something that I really encourage you. It's not one of the actual tips I'm going to give, but I really encourage you to ask for feedback from others if you're feeling stuck in any way. And especially as females, if you want to step into more feminine energy, one of the biggest things that I've learned about this is slowing down and asking for help. This can be asking for help, whether it's feedback, asking for help to, anything from like helping you run errands or brainstorm. And so that's what I did for this episode, was developing it. We brainstormed and I asked for feedback. And so I wanted to share what was said, because it really does feel like something shifted phenomenally. And if you listen to the I'm Back episode all about ego deaths, where I took 2 months off, that was a really important piece of my own journey, and something that I will share more on in the tips on slowing down. Like if you've lost your spark, what the mind typically wants to do is push more, go more, do more. And it's actually the opposite. We got to slow down. And so I've been reflecting on this, on like, how did I get my spark back so much? And I'm going to share the tools and the tips and everything that I've used. But this was the feedback from my team. So I'm saying yes to, and again, this was directly written to me as I'm reading it. You're saying yes to more things. So when I think about that in terms of my life, I'm like, am I saying yes? Yeah, I am. I'm actually, as I record this, I'm about to get on a plane to go to Tokyo for the first time. So I am saying yes to things that maybe don't necessarily make sense in the mind, but feel like a hell yes in the body. You're showing up with a different energy in my story or in your stories, meetings, and in life. And I can agree with this. I do. I feel more positive, more radiant. I feel like things are working out. I feel like the universe is conspiring with me, not against me. I'm going to repeat that. I really want you to listen to this. Do you feel like the universe is conspiring with you or conspiring against you? And when we feel like the universe is conspiring against us, that's when it's like everything feels like it's going wrong. But right now, at least because I've gotten my spark back, I'm in alignment. And if you listen to Abraham Esther Hicks, she talks about getting back on the high flying disc. And if you haven't, then you're going to be like, what are you talking about, Nikki? But essentially getting back in alignment, being in flow with the river of the universe and energy and source and all of that, or God, whatever you want to call it. You're getting a lot in capitals of shit done. And that is true. But this is going to be actually something that I'm going to talk about a little bit more on energy and where we're spending it, because I have been getting a lot of stuff done, but there's also a really important piece on choosing where you spend your energy to get your spark back. But we will get into that. Feeling excited again in business, traveling, and dating. And yes, that is true. And something that I also recognized, and I was sharing this with my therapist, like literally as I'm recording this in a few hours, I get on a 14-hour flight to Tokyo. And I was just reflecting on it. It feels like 2-year period. So 2 years ago, literally like almost to the day, is when my divorce, we had agreed on the divorce, and I'd hired my lawyer and everything. So I feel like this 2-year chapter of like WTF energy is closing, and I'm like, I feel lighter and more excited. But that was a pretty intense 2-year period with some very high highs and very low lows. But I am feeling excited in a new way because I feel like I've settled into this new life that I've created. And that took some time. Momentum is finally back and it feels so good. Totally agree. Have a lighter essence, more relaxed and laid back. And I would also agree with that too. Like even as I'm recording this episode and I have so much to say and I've been like, go, and I'm packing and all of that. I feel calmer even in like what I'm sharing with you. I feel like my voice is a little bit calmer, and that's being reflected in all areas of my life. So a lighter essence. And I'd be curious what you perceive. Like I always love hearing from you with these episodes and everything, but that's at least I like that it's been reflected from my team, and I feel that too. And so those are the feedback that I got. And I share that because over the summer and actually like from basically January onwards, it was so freaking rough for me because I felt like I'm like, okay, I'm doing all this inner work and healing from my divorce and starting over. And then my business is getting kind of negatively impacted because of the whole living situation. And then I move out and I'm dealing with a master gaslighter and just like all of that. And then I'm in a new location and then this summer. And so I really feel like I absolutely lost that Nikki spark, but I feel like I have gotten it back, but I feel more calm, more stable, more grounded. And also the inner work, I'm like, I can see how it's been paying off now. And so all of that being said, these are the tips, the tools, the tricks, the things that I've done having really lost my spark. So I'm speaking from true experience, and I hope that they resonate with you. I hope that you enjoy them. I would absolutely highly recommend taking notes in your phone or getting a piece of paper and a pen just to jot some things down, because it's great to listen to a podcast and you get so much information. But it's another thing when you actually write it down, your brain starts to integrate it and learn. And then it's another thing once you reread it and then you actually practice it. So tip number 1, and by the way, none of these are like groundbreaking. You've heard them all before, but I'm just going to share some personal stories to help infuse them and really like help them land. But tip number 1, if you feel like you've lost your spark, you feel a little colorless, that zest for life is gone, you have to get offline and into real life. And this is where we do the digital detox. And more specifically, I am talking about social media. So when we're feeling a lack of joy, a lack of just zest or that spark or shine, we as humans in today's society, all of us pretty much tend to get on our phones and start to scroll because it's easier to numb yourself and to just, and like I found myself doing this where I would just for like hours, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, this is not making me feel any better. And I would watch all the stories and then I'd be like, all right, I'm going to put my phone away. And then I would come back to it. And so what I found was that I was comparing myself to so many people online. And once you're already feeling low, in whatever case, whether it's about your body, so you've lost your zest or your joy, your spark from that, like you've lost your confidence, or if it's in your business, your finances, you're starting to doubt yourself in relationships, the last thing that you should be doing is going online and looking at other people's posts, especially because the algorithm on social media, and even more so on TikTok, but then Instagram's catching up for sure. The algorithm knows what to send you. They know what's going to get your attention. And so the very thing that you maybe don't want to see, that's going to start popping up more and more because that's what you're clicking on. And so if you've lost your spark, the number 1 thing and tip that I want you to do is take a social media detox. Now, should you take a TV, whatever detox as well? Absolutely, because we don't want to be checking the news, which is doomsday, everything, like the world is going to shit. When you actually get offline and into the real world and start to have real conversations with real people and getting into nature, you start to realize that all of this outside noise, that's sucking your energy, that's drawing at everything, that's like literally sucking the juice out of you. And what I personally found was that during this summer, when I would start to feel low, and not just this summer, but over the last like really kind of 6 to 8 months, where I've gone like in and out of feeling highs and lows. But then when I got offline, I would just sit there and doom scroll and be on Instagram. And what I would then decide is just, I would make almost like if you've heard Mel Robbins, she has like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I would just be like, all right, that's it. I'm going for a walk. And it became a non-negotiable, which we'll get into the importance of movement. But it became a non-negotiable that I was having conversations with my brain on, if I was going to be online, it's like, all right, that's fine. You can do that. But you also need to get yourself into the real world. And so I have had such phenomenal conversations with people, with just real humans, not online, with real humans. And that's where connection comes from. And connection is the number 1 determinant factor of your well-being, your actual wellness, how healthy you are. It is. So I like to ask people, what's the difference between wellness and illness? And I would ask you, what is the difference in your mind between wellness and illness? And a lot of people say like, oh, the food you eat. It is the I versus we. So when you are in a we and not online, but we within community, this is like the blue zones, for example, they're very focused on community. That is where your natural serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin will go up. The more online you are, the more it's going to suck. It gives you false quick dopamine, but it depletes your serotonin, which is made in the gut, and it's going to make you sleep worse. So then, it's this whole kind of negative spin. So anyways, all of that being said, tip number 1, if you feel like you've lost your spark, is get offline and into real life. Now, you could go as far as a 24-hour social media detox. And if you say that you can't, that means even more so it's important. Anything that you're like, I can't do this, I can't do it for business, I can't do it personally, then that is the invitation even more so. Tip number two is protect your energy. It is really about noticing what drains you versus what fuels you. And the reason this is tip number two is because when we have lost our spark, as I mentioned before, it becomes so easy to want to do more. And I'll give you a quick example on this. So the irony, and I'm laughing, the irony of this, of protect your energy, is because if you don't, your energy, essentially, think of yourself, like your body, like a battery. And if you don't plug your battery in, like if you don't plug your phone in at night, the next morning you're going to wake up and you have 10% battery and your applications don't run as fast. You have to turn it on low battery mode and, exit out of all these different applications to make sure that you save your battery. Your body and mind are no different. So we need to protect our energy. Obviously, that means focusing on sleep. Sleep should be and I'm not including sleep as a tip here because that should be a non-negotiable, although I'll kind of throw it in as a sub tip. But protecting your energy of learning what fuels you and what drains you. And the example that I wanted to give on this is, as I mentioned, I'm going to Tokyo as I record this today. In a few hours, I head to the airport and I am battling a little bit of a cold. Now, why do I have a bit of a cold? And I teach wellness and health for a living and mindset and all of that because I have been go. I've been very protective of my energy in terms of I've been saying no to more things. And I'm so grateful to be invited out to various events and people wanting to hang out. And I really feel like I've kind of made my home in London now. So I'm grateful. But I've said no to so many people. And the very fact of me going today meant this weekend I needed to be protective of my energy. However, I'm battling a little bit of a cold, which sucks because it's a really long flight. Because mentally, and this is super important, you guys, mentally, I have had 5,000 tabs open. I have been running around doing this, the cat sitter. I've been, I got my hair done, my nails done. I have been packing. What do I bring? What do I do? I have podcasts to record. And my mind has just been swirling. And so when that happens, and then if you're, let's say, a bit of a people pleaser, and I don't say that negatively at all, but let's say you want to make sure everyone around you is doing really good, you're going to deplete your energy on top of having those 5,000 tabs open. And so what I've found is that I'm not sleeping as well because when our mind is in that go place, it's putting you into the SNS, the sympathetic nervous system, which is kind of a bit of fight or flight. And it's very natural. It's normal for us to be there. But the problem is that when you're in it, you then don't sleep as well and your body doesn't rejuvenate and then you don't feel as good the next day and you're continuing to push yourself. And so I'm like, okay, thank you, body, for the reminder. I've pushed myself a little bit too hard. I wanted to work out every day and go to the ice, cold plunge sauna thing. And then I had to take a step back and be like, I'm literally giving my energy out to all of these different things in the name of wellness. And then I got sick. So I want you to really focus on, if you've lost your spark, not just people, but where are you giving your energy? Are you giving your mental energy to thoughts that drain you? And I say this because this morning I had to run one last errand. And as I'm walking down Oxford Circus, I was voice noting a friend and I'm thinking, oh God, I feel really shitty. I don't feel good. This sucks. I'm so frustrated to get on a plane to a really long flight. And I caught myself because words, not just words, but our thoughts have power. And I reframed it because what I recognized was that I'm giving my energy to something that is negative. That's like, I already don't feel good. So why am I feeding that negative thing? And so then I switched it and I said, it's okay. I understand I don't feel good. That's the reminder to slow down. I'm so grateful I get to be on a long flight tonight. I'm on business class. I'm done with all of my errands. I feel good. I'll do a healing affirmation. I feel wonderful. I am well. My body is well. My body heals itself. The difference between those, even if my brain doesn't fully believe all of that yet, because I can literally feel like a bit shitty in my body. The second one, it makes me feel so much more excited and positive. And that's where healing comes from. That's where we get our spark back, not from feeding the negative things. So I really want you to think about, where are you giving your energy? And in the Ultimate Transformation Program, we talk about this, of your team, your time, energy, and money. Where are you giving your team, your time, energy, and money? Are you giving your time and energy to people that drain you, or saying yes to things and then feeling depleted? Like, if I got invited to this amazing event last night, and I saw with a new girlfriend, and I so wish that I could have gone. And she had also invited me out to dinner this weekend, and I had to say no. And I chose to say no because I knew that doing so for either of them, I would have been traveling outside, or not outside of London, but within, the confines of the city. And it would have added on additional pressure and stress when I already am feeling a bit overwhelmed. And so even though it's something positive, I had to choose not to give my energy to something. I need to be protective. So that is tip number 2. Be protective of your energy. If you're feeling depleted or that loss of the spark, you have to be so protective in order to almost rebuild the shell around you. And then once you're feeling better, you can say yes to more things. So number 3, and this is a direct exercise from the Ultimate Transformation Program, which, by the way, starts on October 20th, UTP Special Edition. If you have any interest, if you want to know the true secrets on how I have navigated and how I've helped hundreds of women create their dream life, UTP, please go to the show notes. It's ultimatetransformationprogram.com. And we can do a discovery call. But this exercise comes directly from the Dream Binder. So through all of the inner work that I've done, and especially post-divorce, doing things that bring me joy has been one of the most important things, because my life literally crumbled and shattered from beneath me. Everything that I thought was good, like all of this magical life I had created, just went, it just crumbled. I mean, I chose for it to, but there was a big fallout in multiple ways from that. And so focusing on, creating this list and then focusing on something joyful every day has helped me in the lowest of low times. And now that I have my spark back, it makes everything even more vibrant and colorful. So what I want you to do is take a piece of paper. And this one I really, really highly recommend doing. It is one of the favorites for UTP graduates. So you take out a piece of paper and just draw a line down the center. It doesn't matter, how you do the paper. And on the left, write things that stress me out. On the left, on the right, things that bring me joy. And I want you to take a day or 2 or 3 to write down literally everything. So it's not just okay, what stresses me out? Going to the doctor. How often do you do that? I want you to think about your day-to-day routines. What stress, for me, sometimes, majority of the time, actually, Instagram, not writing. I love writing back to you guys. I love checking the comments. But just scrolling stresses me out. Why? Because I find myself comparing. So that would go on your stress list. Okay, what brings you joy then? For me, going out in nature, sunshine, taking photos of just anything nature related, all of those bring me joy. Talking to friends on the phone, leaving podcast long voice notes, those bring me joy. Things that stress me out. When I don't sleep well, it stresses me out the next day. Because I just don't feel as good. Other things that stress me out is if I'm doing something to the last minute and we're publishing a podcast, last second, that stresses me out. So and those are just a few examples. I want you to write this list, because what you do next is look at your stress versus joy list. And I want you to genuinely ask yourself, how many in your day-to-day, how many of the things on the stress list are you doing versus how many on the joy list are you doing? And I'm smiling really big as I say this, because when I first did this, I was shocked and not in a good way, because my day-to-day, no wonder I wasn't feeling good, was filled with and this happens every single time a client does this list. They're like mind blown, because it's now you have physical or like actual proof of the things that are stressing you out, you are focusing on in your day. And so once you write down your joy list, that's where you actually start to schedule them. So instead of it being like, okay, I need to run these errands and do this and feed the dog or the cat or the, XYZ, all of the things, which the stress list, by the way, what the next step in it that I would recommend, and I have clients do in UTP, is then put out a number 1 to 10. So 10 being like, it stresses the fuck out of me, and 1 being like, it's annoying, but it's not like killer. And the same with the joy list. What you'll find is that the things that bring you kind of 5 and upward, you're probably doing a vast majority of them every single day. And so this list really helps to balance and understand the difference between what you're doing and why it's draining you and why you're losing your spark, and then how to get it back, because what brings us joy is going to be different for everyone. But this list is so impactful. I honestly cannot even begin to tell you. As I said, it is a client favorite when they do the Ultimate Transformation Program. And again, if you're interested or you'd like to learn more about the Dream Binder and the exercises and what this program is, please visit the show notes. But the biggest thing here is stop overcomplicating your life. Stop focusing on the shitty, negative things. That's where tip number 2 about protect your energy is, if you're giving away your energy to all of these things on your stress list, yeah, I can already tell you're not going to have your spark. You're not going to feel very confident. And joy lives in the simple things. Joy lives in the movement, in connection with ourselves. It doesn't come from these big grandiose things, but you have to know what brings you joy and how much time you're spending on your stress list. So tip number 4 is get in 10 minutes of movement a day. I mean, groundbreaking. I know. Totally groundbreaking. I'm reinventing the wheel here. But when you feel bad about yourself, about your body, if you are just feeling a lack of confidence, the quickest and easiest way to feel better about yourself in this moment, we're not talking about the long-term future, we're talking about in this moment now, is to do some form of movement, taking care of yourself. And I want you to think about this acronym, KISS, like KISS, KISS. Keep it stupid simple. That's why I said 10 minutes. Go for a walk for 10 minutes. So in my lowest of lows this summer, I went for a walk nearly every single day for at least 10 minutes, because the 10 minutes, once you're out, you'll probably go for longer. But even if it's just like a walk around the block, do yoga, do some light stretching on your carpet, put a podcast on, listen to this, do some stretching. 10 minutes you can do. Do this for 5 days. So keep it stupid simple. Is notice I'm not saying do 60 minutes, do 45 minutes. No. Do 10 minutes, because we want to create it. And I also teach about the smiley face journal, where you do 3 things, not consecutive, but consecutively, I guess, for 5 days. And it starts to reaffirm your beliefs, your positive attitudes. It makes you feel good. But the reason that I'm saying do movement specifically more than anything else is because dopamine, which I'm sure you've heard about, all of these neurochemicals are trending. Dopamine loves movement. Your brain and body literally, your brain, which then positively impacts your body, your brain floods with dopamine when you move your body. And especially so if you're going for a walk, you want to do bilateral movement. So like swinging your arms. Dance for 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be crazy dancing, but shake your body out. But movement creates dopamine. Dopamine is the feel-good chemical. It literally makes you feel good. So the quickest thing to do if you've lost your spark, for 5 days, do 10 minutes a day of some sort of movement. Your choice what it is, but do it and report back to me. I promise you will start to feel better. The next one, tip number 4, is reconnect with your vision. It is so easy, and I'm the first person to attest to this. It is so easy to lose sight of your vision when you feel like life sucks, to put it bluntly. And that's really like over the course of the last 2 years, there's been times where I've looked at my dream binder and the cover, and I've looked at the different exercises, and I'm like, I couldn't relate. I couldn't even like visualize what was on my dream binder. And there's all sorts of exercises that we do to help you reconnect with your vision. But there were so many times, and that's because I literally lost sight. And part of that was because I needed to. I was creating a new identity, but I lost sight of what I wanted because I no longer believed that it was possible. And so I want you just to like marinate on that. Do you have a vision of the future? Or did you have a vision of the future and there's something within that says, this ain't going to happen. It's not possible. Because now, do you see, we're putting into that the self-doubt, and then we're feeding those negative thoughts. So if you've lost your spark, I can guarantee that you've also lost sight of a vision of the future. And here's a few tips on how to get it back. And again, these are not like groundbreaking, but they're things that I personally did in those moments where I'm looking at my life and what do I want? And I'm like, I don't even know. Like, I don't even know what I want anymore. But that wasn't true. I've always known what I wanted. I just wasn't seeing the results of the very things and this is like manifesting 101, is that you have to know what you want. Kind of the formula that I teach people, part of it. I go through the full thing in UTP, but know what you want. And you got to get very specific on it. Know why you want it. Why is it important? Understand your fears around the very thing, because your fears are going to create self-sabotage. Understand your emotional vibration to it. So if you're feeling like hatred towards yourself or resentment, or you're feeling discouragement, or you're feeling victim mentality or powerlessness, and these are all on the emotional vibration scale, or pessimism, you're probably not going to manifest that very thing that you want, right? So we have to understand what our fears are, where we are emotionally around this. We have to get clear on what we want, why we want it. And so for me, within this whole journey and process to get to where I am now, it was like really slowing down in order to get super duper clear of what was I kind of quote unquote manifesting, or what was my vision that I was creating from a place of fear, because I was too afraid maybe to go into the bigger vision. And what was I not believing in anymore because I didn't believe in my own potential. And let me tell you, when you don't believe in your own potential, you're going to lose your spark pretty quickly. So here are some things that will help reclaim that vision. Number 1, go to Pinterest. So getting clear on like just one subject, one topic, one area of your life. And no, you like, as much as people come to me and they're like, I want to make more money. That's not a firm, the universe doesn't know what that means. So we got to get really clear on what it is that you actually want. But and we go through this whole process within UTP, by the way, I help you get super clear, which is why the clients love the program so much. But go to Pinterest and like, let's say you want a quote unquote better body. You want to feel good, look fit. You want a better tush. You want to be strong. So the best thing is looking at photos that motivate and inspire you. Now, here's an important piece though, because if you're going, like for example, for me, when I was in doom scrolling, which was tip number 1, remember getting digital detox. If I saw photos of girls that, let's say, had the dream relationship over the last 2 years, there were times where I'm like, fuck that. And then it put me in a downward spiral. So if you're in a place where looking at a photo of something that inspires you actually brings you into comparison, then we know that you're your emotional, the vibration there and your fears are greater than the thing that you want. So that's where you got to use the other tips first. But going to Pinterest and finding photos of that thing that it inspires you. So for me, I'm trying to redo my wardrobe because this new version of me, of Nikki, I'm like, yeah, like my old clothes, they're great, they're beautiful, but like I feel like I've stepped into this new chapter. And so I go to Pinterest and I find these just beautiful images, and oh my God, you guys, it inspires the crap out of me. So going to Pinterest is one, going to Instagram. And then the kind of next piece of this is actually creating it as your wallpaper. And this was something that I did when I started my Instagram account. In 2011, I started posting. I would go to Tumblr because Pinterest wasn't really a thing yet. I would go to Tumblr and take photos of girls who had these really like fit, just sexy bodies. And then I would post it on my own Instagram account before I was known or anything. And then I would post meals that inspired me to create more like healthy eating. And that was the way for me to stay on track. So whatever it is for you, whether it's reposting things, finding stuff, pinning stuff, creating a vision board, but visuals help our brain to get out of the monkey mind, right? That thinking negative mind, and actually start to visualize our future. Now, reconnecting with your vision, a big piece of this as well, and something that I teach in UTP is it is about service. When you've lost your spark, the quickest thing that happens is that we get into remember I talked about the wellness versus illness? We get into the I. The I is ego. And when we're in ego mind, that's where all the problems come up. And the mind that creates the problem cannot find the solution. And so being of service, whether it's giving a smile to someone, and that's why I said tip number 1, get out and into the real world, have conversations with real people, offer to pay for someone's coffee, give some extra change to someone on the street, reach out to a friend and just ask, how are you? All of these little things, acts of service, acts of kindness, they help to boost serotonin and dopamine. They actually also boost oxytocin in the brain, which is the love bonding chemical. But this is all going to help bring you out of that sympathetic nervous system back into parasympathetic, which is rest and digest, which then allows you to start dreaming again. So being of service or kindness, acts of kindness to yourself and other people, just being of service. It is the biggest thing that I can tell you will truly help bring back that vision. And the other thing too is affirmations. Like, we know affirmations work, but they don't work if you don't believe them. So I have little ones on my, next to my bed it's as simple as like, you cannot hate yourself into a life that you love. You can only love yourself into creating one. It like that for me, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I can't hate myself into change. I tried that for years. It didn't work. So writing an affirmation, like let's an example. If you want to, I don't know, so many people say like, I want to make $1 million. And you're like, I am a money magnet. I'm going to make $1 million on a little card or, sticky note. And you read that and it doesn't resonate. And like, if you don't believe it, then your mind is not going to absorb it. So instead you say, I am abundant. I call in abundance. That's going to be a lot easier for the brain to resonate with. So affirmations are super important, but here's the other piece of them. You got to do them. You can't just do it once. It's sort of like working out. The more you do it, the better it works, easier it becomes, and the more magnetic and abundant and confident you'll get in all of these practices. So tip number 5, the last one, is getting your spark back. Celebrate progress, not perfection. Celebrate progress, not perfection. And when you feel like you've lost that zest or your confidence, that spark, we start to strive for the perfection. Like, everything needs to be done perfectly and I need to do more. In reality, we need to slow down and truly celebrate all that you've done. So like when I look back at the last 2 years, I'm like, oh my God, not only did I make such insane, big, courageous decisions, I completely just upped my life and moved, and there were so many things that I didn't know were going to happen, and so many highs and lows and ups and downs. But the interesting thing from all of this is that when, like sitting here now, I look back and I'm like, holy shit, like look at all that I've done. Look at who I've become. Look at the inner work that I've done. And so I'm celebrating the progress that I've had, even though my life is not necessarily entirely where I want it to be yet. And so celebrating your progress day after day, and that doesn't happen when we're on social media. That doesn't happen when we're comparing ourselves to others or doom scrolling or binge watching Netflix. That happens when we're just out and about and doing things like the stress versus joy list. Those are the simple things that help you to see the progress. And let me tell you, joy, and this is actually also scientifically psychologically and scientifically and research proven from all the different neurochemicals and all of these things, is that confidence doesn't happen when you get the thing. Confidence actually happens in the journey, in the day-to-day of putting in the work. Why? Because dopamine loves action. And when I say action, I'm not saying like push yourself to the max, but dopamine in your brain, the feel-good chemical, is what rewards us on the journey to getting where we want. The very thing that you want, like buying the purse, getting the job, dream title, whatever, like that it doesn't last. But the progress every single day, that is what does. So the more that you can focus and celebrate yourself on this progress, the more you're going to get your spark back. And this I can 100% attest to. So I hope that these tips resonated with you. I hope you wrote them down. I hope that you truly do the stress versus joy list. As I said, a lot of these come from the Ultimate Transformation Program, and I would love to invite you to join UTP Special Edition. It is 2 months. We start October 20th, and it is a shortened, both in terms of time, shortened time and monetary investment in yourself than the normal program. By the way, I don't know if I'm going to be running this special edition again. This might be the very last time that I do it. So if you've been on the fence, this is your sign to at least have a look or do a discovery call with me. Head to the show notes, ultimatetransformationprogram.com. And I want you just to remember this, that the good news is nothing lasts forever. Truly, the good news. If you have a headache, it doesn't last forever. If you break your arm or leg or your pinky, the pain doesn't last forever. So the good news is that nothing, especially the pain or the discomfort, nothing lasts forever. The bad news also is that nothing lasts forever. So you are going to go through moments in life where you're feeling really good. And then there's going to be other times where you've definitely lost your spark. And the goal is, like, nobody can be at 100% all the time. Just like your phone, you use it and it depletes throughout the day, and then we plug it in. It's the same with you. That let this podcast episode be the reminder to come back to yourself, to literally plug yourself back in with some tools that will help re-energize and reignite that spark within you. And the other thing that I want to just remind you about is slowing down. If you've lost your spark, doing more, I've kind of said this throughout the podcast, but doing more is not the answer. Slowing down and coming back to yourself is. So I hope, again, that you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you thought of this episode. And as I said in the beginning, it would mean so much if you left a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and if you enjoyed this episode. And also, Spotify now has this cool feature that you can actually comment on this episode. So I'd love to know on Spotify, if you're listening there, which tip resonated, or was there any part of my story that resonated with you? Please drop a comment so that we can have a chat on Spotify. And as always, thank you so much for being here and for listening. And until next week, here's to a sharper life.